Hey, it's Nicole Kellerman-Worth, CEO of WildlyAlive.com, where we help women get on the same team as their bodies so they can feel and look their best. When a woman realizes how badass her body is, she feels alive and is no longer afraid to create the life she's always wanted. I know this to be true because it's happened to me and thousands of our clients. Welcome to the journey of getting on the same team as your body. Hello, sisters. Okay, so today we have an expert coming in on the podcast. Her name is Elyse. She is amazing. We have known each other for a few years. I don't know what as it's been like. Yeah, you were pregnant, so like 3.5 years. Your son's 3.5. And when I thought about what we're talking about this month, around the movement pillar, around becoming somebody who is unstoppable, who continues to move their body for the rest of their life, you know, the truth is that there's not a ton, and the trend is changing, but within the fitness industry, something that I'm sure both of us are not huge fans of is the amount of willpower and shame that is bleeding throughout the fitness industry, and like this hard masculine structure of you have to do it this way and it needs to be intense and you need to sweat and no pain, no gain. And, you know, like that is definitely the typical trend in the fitness industry, and something that Wildly Alive and Elyse really, really try to embody is this more gentle, kinder approach towards fitness and movement. And so I knew right away I was going to have Elyse on today. Like I was like, of course, yeah, of course. And so I'm so excited to have you on because we've had her as a guest in other programs and things like that. And women just loved her and fell in love with her and her philosophy. And so fun, so super fun. You know, like fitness is really about just having fun and giving back to your body. So Elyse, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your philosophies with exercise.
Well, you did a great job already. I'm 100% on board with everything you said. And thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, basically, I kind of want to flip that fitness industry script and see if we can come from a place of really being kind to ourselves while we're on a fitness journey. So like you said, so often in the fitness industry, it's like, no pain, no gain. It's all about like tallying up numbers, percentages, reps, like all of this stuff to see if you are on track, to see if you're good or bad, to see if you're, like before and after, like all of these really concrete kind of things. And what I have found in my own journey, in my own life, and in now working with clients is that doesn't work for everyone. And also, I think it keeps a lot of people from moving their bodies. And movement can give us so much more than just like tracking and body change. And, it can really just give us so much more energetically, obviously, physically, mentally, spiritually, like all of the things we need to keep moving as we are aging to take care of ourselves. So I do help people with exercise and with movement, but we really approach it from how people are feeling in their bodies rather than what they look like. So really don't do any number tracking of any kind and really tune into how you are feeling in your body, how we can get you feeling better in your body. And then also like how this can become a part of your life in a way that works for you. And that really is different for everyone. So those are a few things. So back when we first got connected, I was starting a program called Be Kind Body Mind. And now that's a hashtag that I use because really it's all about that. We try and bring the body and mind together in a kind way and also get moving.
Yeah, totally. And that's like something that we talk about too, is like the fitness industry and how the main motivator to move your body is to manipulate the body. And when we do that, what often happens, and I'm sure you see this in your clients as well, is those who have been able to manipulate their bodies through exercise, they eventually quit because the goal has been reached, right? And so then they're like, oh, well, cool, I'm all well and good. And it's like, if you can't access those deeper reasons why you want to move for the rest of your life, then you will continue to start and stop. And then there are those people who have not been able to accomplish body manipulation through exercise. And they also feel shame because they feel like there's something wrong with their bodies and their bodies are broken or whatever. And so this whole idea that fitness is just about manipulation of the body sets everybody up to fail, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And people get, like in your second example, I mean, people just get so frustrated, I think, when they set a goal to like lose weight or gain muscle or whatever it is, and just find that what they have to do to get to that usually extreme goal is so unrealistic for their lifestyle that they just stop. Or, do like a start, stop thing. And like you said, like this really has to be a long game, longevity, type of a thing, because we need to be moving our bodies. But we have to do it in a way that supports us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when we were thinking about, when Elyse was thinking about like something to really bring to the table in the conversation here, one thing that really came up is we're at the beginning of the year, and there tends to be this whole philosophy gets just like blown up during January, right? And what's really interesting, and I was thinking about this the other day, is the contrast between December and January can really show you where this dark monster lives. Because oftentimes what happens is women completely shut down from exercise in December because we're giving to everybody else, and we're not trying to manipulate the body or lose weight during the month of December. And then all of a sudden, we've stopped, and then the big, huge start happens, right? So yeah, Elyse, what do you have to say about this whole cycle?
Well, my first thing would be when all of this information comes in, the ads and the boot camps and this new year, new you, and like start now, start fresh, like all of this messaging that we kind of get bombarded with, I just recommend people take a pause and try to start to notice, increase your awareness around what you really need and is nourishing for your body compared to what is just messaging from the outside world. And, I'm talking about fitness marketing, but this can also be like when you're with your colleagues again, and everybody's around the water cooler. I mean, if you're in person, I guess, or around the Zoom screen, talking about, everyone's kind of chiming in on like how they overindulged, what they're doing now, getting back in. And it's like becoming more aware of how that whole thing can really affect you and what you need. For example, maybe you don't need to rush in to a 7-day detox or a 30-day power program or something like that. It's possible that that is joyful for you and that lights you up, and great. What I notice is for a lot of people, it just feels anxiety provoking. And it kind of, does that thing where even if you start for 3 days, you go strong and then you desert it. And then it's, April or something. So I think the first thing is just to pause and try to check in with yourself as much as possible. Like how much is coming from these outside sources and how much like is really coming from you and what you need and want. Mm-hmm. And then going from there, I think it's, finding that nourishing step. Like if it's just, going for walks more, or, finding a type of movement that feels joyful for you. I know you and I have talked about a joy workout idea that I have and promote is like finding movement that works for you. Maybe that is lifting weights. For me, it actually is. I enjoy lifting weights, but that's not for everybody. So like finding a dance class or rock climbing or like roller derby or like something that really inspires you and lights you up and feels like something that you want to be coming back to. And, sometimes that takes a lot of trial and error. Sometimes it's, not, maybe you try a few different things to find what that is for you in the moment. But I think it's really finding that nourishing type of movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that joy movement, like something that really like sparks joy in your movement piece. And it is true. Like you really got to be aware that everything has a subconscious effect. Even your coworker who you may not even like very much, who's talking about how they overindulge during the holidays, everything seeps in. And unfortunately, right now we do live in a society that really stresses the fact that the size of your body is the most important thing. And the only way to be healthy is through these manipulation tactics of really working against the natural flow of the body. And so, if you're in While the Alive world or Elyse's world, like you're gonna hear things that you may not hear from your coworkers, but maybe one day you'll be sitting around the water cooler and you'll say, yeah, okay, in December, I definitely ate more food than my body would have liked and didn't move her the way that I usually like to move her, but I'm just going to start off slow and gentle and ease my way to it. And so, like just recognizing that the typical narrative will seep in. You don't need to listen to it. And yeah, to tune inward and figure out, well, I can ease in and what do I even like? And like, I love the trial and error of like, you may need to try a few things before you find like your joy workout.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where people kind of get stuck in the next step too, is like, well, what do I even do? Or what, if I do want to move, but I don't want to do it in that kind of old paradigm way, what do I do? And, that's where I think like the try something out, and see how it goes. And then I think to go beyond that, if you're in that transition, like that mindset transition place of maybe going from that old mentality into a newer space, something that I like to offer is, because a lot of people do work well with goals and want to work towards something, and that keeps them motivated and that keeps them strong. But if doing it from, a very, body change focused type way is not serving you any longer, then something I like to do is focus on process-based goals rather than product-based goals. So, I mean, even in my own history, there were years where like every time I went to do New Year's resolutions or every time, I went to write down a goal, it would be like, just lose these last 10 pounds, like I just needed like 5 pounds or whatever it was, there was always that. And it just like was always unattainable, always the thing that was like never happening. And
then if you reach it, often what will happen is your mind will say, well, 5 more, right?
Exactly. And that's the whole thing about body image, is that it's actually not really about the size or shape of our bodies at all.
Right.
It's about, how we feel about ourselves. So if you switch that to a process-based goal of something that you want to physically be able to accomplish with your body, like a push-up, or if you find a joy workout, one of mine from way back was I started swing dancing. And in Lindy Hop, a type of swing dancing, it's like, if you can imagine like jazz music from the 30s and 40s where like one person's hopping over another person, it was like that. And that became a joy workout. And then because of that, I realized, oh, now I want to improve my jumping skills. Like I need to train in plyometrics to get my jumping skills up. And then it became not just something that I was doing because I'm like, okay, now I have to do 20 burpees. Like, it became something that I was reaching towards to achieve like a physical movement aspiration. And it, for me, and I see this in my clients as well, it just shifts the energy just enough.
Yeah.
That it's like, I'm doing this for a different reason that's not attached to the way that my body will look.
Yeah. Or the size on the scale or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so good. So yeah, so for those of you who are listening, like really just thinking about how would it feel to you if you could do 5 push-ups, like maybe even on your toes. I mean, that would be, and just thinking about the strength you would feel, the pride you would feel because of that. And while the Alive, we kind of call this changing the measure of success, where it's no longer based on like numbers in terms of, how your body looks. But I like the idea of, like how high can I jump if I want to strengthen my jumping skills? Like I've never thought about that, but I love that there are these measures and these ways to motivate yourself in like a masculine structure, but it doesn't need to be purely by how the body physically looks. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What did you call it? Progress?
Process-based goals rather than product-based.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. And a huge element that I forgot to talk about within that is that because saying like, even a physical goal is kind of a product-based goal. So let's back up a little bit. And the process part of it is what I actually have to do to make that happen, and have that really be the focus. So like do show up for yourself for movement. You do need to show up for yourself for movement in order to make that happen. So, maybe it's focusing on the process that needs to happen in order to get there rather than the end goal itself. Because even I think even like you mentioned in the masculine model, even if we're not talking about body size and shape, it's like we can still kind of get into that pattern of like, oh, now that I reached that, now I have to like go really hard on myself to get the next thing. So I think like the process, whether that actually happens or not, you still have to show up for movement in your life. So let's say you're like, I'm going to take a walk 3 times a week or just do one stretch before bed. Like that's going to become my new habit, is like one stretch before bed. This doesn't have to be like this huge life-changing thing. In fact, I think it's even more effective if we start a little bit smaller, and do those like just daily habit changing practices. So that's the process part of it, is to focus on that, because like we said in the beginning, like movement really is something that is going to be with you as long as your body is with you. And so that is a great thing to focus on, is the process part of it.
Right. Yeah. It's the whole, like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And also like something else to really think about in terms of process is that as you are in the process of strengthening your body and gaining more flexibility and so on and so forth, you're also learning the conversation of your physical body and like how to speak to her and what she is trying to tell you. And when you're doing certain things and not going into a place of shame of like, holy cow, I can't even do one push-up on my knees. It's like, okay, well, when was the last time you tried to do a push-up? So can you like cut yourself a little bit of slack and recognize that, like you maybe got out of shape and it's not a big deal. You don't need to like be upset about that. And the journey of recognizing, okay, like now I can do like a half a push-up. Now I can start, maybe I can just push myself up and not go all the way down, and recognizing that you're developing a conversation between you and your body. There's like things like muscle memory and things like that, where it's going to become easier for her. Just like when you practice spelling a word, like it's going to become easier for you. And so just recognizing that process can be so valuable and rewarding without the actual reward, right?
Yeah, something that you said reminded me of the concept of the second arrow. I was introduced to it by Tara Brach, the meditation and mindfulness teacher, but it's probably goes even before her. But that first arrow is the example you said of like, oh, I used to be able to do a push-up. Now I can't do a push-up. Like that thought is like, oh, that's the actual thing that you're feeling upset about. And then the second arrow is all the beating ourselves up about that thing and making up these storylines about what that means about us. And, this never works for me. I can't do it, blah, 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 all this negative self-talk. And so, like you modeled kind of like pulling out that second arrow, all the self-judgment piece, and just dealing with like, okay, this is just the facts of what's here now. I am doing a half a push-up. And now I am showing up for myself to practice doing a full push-up. And then, doing 2 push-ups. And like, so I think a concept that I use a lot is like just looking at the facts. Sometimes in my work, we do a fill in the blank sentence of here's what I know. So here's what I know. And then like filling in the blank. So it's not this big leap to, I've done a lot of work with like I am statements before, which I love, but sometimes going from like that initial to like, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm capable. It's a really big leap.
Right.
And so I like to kind of say, okay, without the self-judgment piece, let's just remove that. And then let's look at the truth and the facts of what's here now. Like, here's what I know. I'm working on a push-up.
Right.
And here's what I know. I really want to build more strength. I really want to build more upper body strength. I am working on building upper body strength. Like just boiling it down to kind of like that piece of it.
Yeah. Making it factual, removing the emotional charge. That is the biggest thing around fitness. There is so much shame around fitness. And it's that emotional charge of, oh, I'm so out of shape. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like you just go into that, arrow after arrow after arrow. And that just perpetuates the cycle of on and off, start and stop. And it's like, can we just be a little human about it? We all, Elyse and I, go through times and periods of our life where we do not move very much. And the key is that you just get started and you don't shit talk yourself for stopping. It's like, it's so simple, but it's also so hard because we have been told the only way to be fit is to do these hardcore things Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and like, you're never allowed to stop. It's like actually professional athletes even stop.
Yeah.
They even have rest periods.
And I think this is possibly what comes up for professional athletes and every human. I think a key is to expect that. So it's not a surprise when it happens. Like, oh, I went really hard for the first 3 weeks of January. And now I'm going to like crash and burn out and be overwhelmed. It's like, if we can expect an energy dip to happen, that is bound to happen, is going to happen.
Right.
If we can expect that and plan for that, then I think that will help us take out the shame layer as much as we can of when that happens. Like, we're supposed to be these like robotic people who are just going nonstop. It's like, no, you need that rest. I mean, even within the context of like one workout, you need rest periods, but then also in the period of, over time, you also need those rest moments, whether it is just your human body needing that, or like big life stuff that comes up that is like capital L life, like happens to all of us. And sometimes it just comes up unexpectedly, and we have to be able to find in one of my programs, in my 21-day program, we call it Dancing with the Chaos. So the chaos will come up no matter what. And the way that we're able to react to it and like balance and dance around it. And I threw the word balances, which I feel like is a big, the big B word, balance. But what I mean when I say balance is like a dynamic equilibrium, not just like a one point, but exactly that, like how we can keep on coming back to the center when stuff is like, you know, kind of throwing us off our course.
Right. Like the holidays. Like we don't need to necessarily stop. And that's like one of the big things that we stress in the class in December, which is called Finish Line, is like, we can slow down our movement. We just have to see that maybe going for a 10-minute walk and stretching before bed is it's valuable, and more nurturing ways of moving. That's fine. And like, you know, you move jobs, somebody dies in your immediate family, like life happens. And it's like, are we really going to continue to just wag our finger at ourselves that we stopped exercising and we're such POSs for not doing that? And it's like, just have a little more self-compassion for yourself. And it's like, just like you said, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It happens to everyone, even the most fit people on the planet, you know? And if they are powering through during those times, they may have a little bit of an exercise problem. Okay. So that's a whole other conversation. So I love this. This is so great, Elyse. Can you tell everyone a little bit more about you and what you have to offer and where they can find you if they're just totally digging your vibe like I am right now?
Absolutely. I work one-on-one with people over Zoom right now, so you can work with me from anywhere in the world. And I also have group programs. Some of them are a DIY style pre-recorded that you can find on my website. And others now I've been doing live programs where it's a group and we're all moving together. I took this hashtag Be Kind Body Mind and I turned that into sort of a modality that we use in what I do with people. So we move and we also do guided journaling and writing to bring that mindfulness aspect in. I have a feeling people listening may have at one time or another had the experience of moving their bodies, maybe in a yoga class or sweaty cardio thing or whatever, however you're moving your body. And all of a sudden these sort of like ideas and creativity comes to you. Like there's a lot that happens when you start moving your body. And so we kind of capture that. We move and then we write, so that we're kind of combining the body and mind aspects in that. So that happens in most of the group programs. And everything can be found at ElyseSparkes.com. It's spelled a little funky, ELYSESPARKES. And I also have a 14-page download of a body kindness journal. And this is some stories from me on my body image journey, and then also some guided journaling prompts for you to go through to practice and to kind of work through for yourself how to be kind to yourself while you're on a fitness journey. So they can get that on my website or at bekindbodymind.com/journal.
Cool. Yes. Okay. See, it's all about the mind body connection. That's what it's all about. I absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I would highly suggest you guys go get her free stuff at least and check it out, because, you know, like this is really, if you want to be a person who moves their body for the rest of their life, this is the real work here. This is the work. It's not about being more regimented. It's not about being more disciplined or having more willpower. It's about trying to get your mind to work with you instead of against you, and looking at your belief systems that we have been fed by, you know, the intense fitness culture that we need to let go of and replace, and just have more compassion and kindness and respect towards our bodies, because the truth is that she really is doing the best she can with what she has. And when we can really have just more compassion with our bodies, it's this beautiful relationship that can start to flourish, and you can start to move in ways that feel really good for you. And when it feels good for you, you show up for it. And, Elyse is going to really drive that point across over and over again, obviously. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. It's always great to talk to you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
I hope that you enjoyed that. If you did, please share this with somebody who wants to hear this good information, or just press a button or something around this video or audio and help us spread the Wildly Alive message. And the next episode, which is set to be released in February, we're going to move on to a lifestyle pillar and talking about something that isn't really common, which is our relationships and our friendships with other females. So this is such a big topic because we all have sisterhood wounds, and I'm really excited to share that with you. So if it's currently available, go on over to your favorite podcasting app and search Wildly Alive or Same Team, and you can listen to that now, or just get excited for February when all of that good information gets dropped. All right, see you then.